All right, so that was the last PLE Premium Live event between now and WrestleMania, except of course for the NXT ones. Not a lot of matches. I know there's supposed to be that 6-person tag match, but with Dakota Kai still being injured, you can't really do Lita, Trish, and Becky versus 2/3 of Damage Control. Okay. Now that probably would have led to more Canadians winning tonight, but so begin first with the women's Elimination Chamber match. Smart starting with Natalya. You want the crowd to be invested, and this is one of the few towns where she's going to get just heaps of adulation. There were some spots that just felt like there was a bit of miscommunication. The giant sunset flip power bomb that Liv Morgan did to Raquel, taking Raquel off the second turnbuckle. I'm like, why is Raquel leaned over for so long? And then pan back, you're like, oh, okay. But right call, having Asuka win it. I liked the bit with Carmella running and hiding in each of the pods and then getting chased out of the pods. They did a similar spot with the men's one, but they tweaked it just enough to make it work well. But, having Asuka win made sense. Asuka, Bianca Belair, solid match. I really think that's going to be a great test for Bianca Belair. And maybe this is when Asuka gets a big WrestleMania victory. Who knows? The Grit couple versus Judgment Day. This is one of those bizarre matches where I was like, well, Ripley can't eat the pin. She could maybe pin Beth. I could maybe see Edge getting pinned dirty. But I also could see Finn being pinned. So I'm like, everybody could eat the pinfall except for Rhea Ripley because she's got to be strong in Mania. Some miscommunication early with Beth and Rhea, but this is Beth's third or fourth match in 2 years. It's fine. I liked the reversals from the Riptides into Glam Slams. I liked that. I liked seeing a second rope Glam Slam. I liked how much the crowd hated Dominic Mysterio. I liked the double executions. Is that what it is? Or is it education? The kind of inverted, sharpshooter looking move. Nice finisher. I know Edge didn't use it a lot, but it was nice to see that, especially when, Finn's in one, Ripley's in another, and then Dom throws some brass knucks in. Ripley, of course, hits Edge. They go for the pinfall. 1, 2. Ref has to not hit the 3 count as Beth dives in just off frame. I was like, oh. That's one of those moments where you're like, oh. It's either, you're a half second too early or a half second too late, or you get in the ring and you're going for the dive and you just don't hit the dive quite right. And I was like, oh. It's horrible seeing a spot like that just not gel perfectly. But we're talking a half second, if that, between it looking really awesome and it not working out very well. Like the stereo power bomb spot. Liked seeing the Shatter Machine. I know Edge is really close with one of the members of FTR. And FTR will become free agents pretty soon. I'm okay with this. Is one of those things to set up, the Revival coming back. If the Revival coming back can sync up with maybe Tommaso Ciampa coming back, and then maybe Tommaso Ciampa reforms a tag team with Johnny Gargano, and then we get to see matches, like the Revival versus Team DIY, versus Usos, versus Street Profits, versus Alpha Academy, versus New Day. I mean, that could be a lot of really solid tag teams. Wishful thinking. Who knows? But Edge got the victory. I'm fine with that. If they want to run, Edge, Balor in another specialty match at Mania, sure. I'm fine with that. If they want to have them do a thing at Mania and then run maybe Phoenix Ripley SummerSlam, I'd be fine with that too. I mean, there's enough they can. There's still a few more matches to get out of this feud. Men's chamber match. Oh lordy, there were some spots that made me kind of think we were seconds away from having a much smaller Johnny Gargano. The Doomsday into a Poison Rana on Bronson Reed. Wow. I don't know why Rollins and Gargano were like, I'm thinking we do this. Okay, what if we do this? That'd be pretty sweet too. The Rollins powerbomb reversed into a Hurricane Rana off the top of the pod onto everybody. Wow. It's like, whoa. Get Gargano some Epsom salts and a bunch of ice. Whew. I liked, multiple finishers to pin Bronson Reed. Good. He is a big dude. I still do not know why Vince was like, I'm going to draw money with him. Cut him. And Paul was like, whoa, what? Look at the dude. See he moves in the ring? He's everything you want. He's a big dude. He moves well. He can do some high flying. He can go off the top rope well and not hurt anybody. He can do power stuff on the ground. Now, of course, Montez Ford looked fantastic too. After he did the, I'm going to call it the US title, I was like, ooh. I know Rollins is going to win because he's got a date with Logan Paul. And I was like, ooh. I would be okay with Montez Ford running with a singles title for a little bit. You don't need to break up the Street Profits. Dawkins will be fantastic. You did it, man. I'm proud of you. Maybe they do he asks questions, goes, you did a good job, man. You need to face someone who really knows you well. Who? Like me. Have him run a singles match, have Ford win, but they still remain friends. I mean, you can do it. But then Ford ate that stomp. It's like, he's losing. They did the bit where he had a hard time getting out of the ring, and I'm like, okay. So when Logan Paul comes in, Logan Paul and Seth time was off a little for that buckshot lariat. Just a look, he's there and he's like, he's waiting for his spot. So you can tell that he wants it to look perfect, but his instincts really weren't quite there. Like he was waiting for Seth to, do something to trigger him to do the move. But still hit it. Austin Theory retained. Good. Solid match. Worked well. And again, we've, Asuka win, so no Canadian won there. Edge won, so Canadian won there. And here you've got Theory retaining. Okay. No Canadians won. Oh, jeez, okay, but I forgot about this one. Lesnar Lashley. Nice car crash, big meaty man, 7-man meet. Ends in a DQ. But on Friday, Bray and Uncle Howdy said they got next. My wife was like, who do you think is going to win? And I was like, I could see Lesnar winning, because then if Lashley loses, then that could, MVP can be like, hey, when I was in your corner, you beat Brock Lesnar. Just saying. Reform the Hurt Business, cool. If Lashley wins, okay, Hurt Business can be like, did a good job, champ. Good job. Like, then what you do with Lesnar. But, of course, Lesnar loses by DQ, which the crowd was like, yeah, boo. And then he, put Lashley through a table, and then he hit a ref. I'm like, all right, so this is the time when, Lesnar gets suspended for, 4 weeks or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, however long it takes for him to go do whatever hunting season it is in Canada, and then to come back for the Mania push. Now we get into our main event. I think the first 8 minutes was the two of them just staring at each other, which is how hot the crowd was for this. I was like 98% sure that Roman was not going to lose. I expected it to be like a dusty finish where, Zayn gets the pinfall, but Roman's foot's under the bottom rope, so he then eats the spear. But instead, they did the other old-fashioned where it's like, ref bump, you beat my finisher. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but there's no ref. And I'm like, okay. So he got the visual pin on Roman. Okay. Then Jimmy came down. Jimmy, beats up Zayn. Zayn still kicks out. Another ref bump. Roman now gets a chair. And comes main event Jay. Main event Jay now is in the Sammy spot where he's like, no, man, don't do this. How do you do it? And I was thinking, it's getting either one of them. Because if he hits Zayn, he's turned. If he hits Roman, he's turned. If he just leaves the ring and doesn't do anything, it's different. Goes to leave the ring a little bit, eats an inadvertent spear by Zayn. And then, Roman's like, ref is still down, I got a chair. Lights up with some chair shots. Hits a spear. 1, 2, 3. They're doing the post-match beatdown. Then Owens comes down. Hits the pop-up. So you've got Jimmy through a table. He's going to take the chair to Roman. And Paul's like, have a meal ticket, don't hit him. Then Paul eats the stunner. Took it well. I like seeing Paul drop down to a knee and then do the before he fell backwards. Okay. Not expecting him to take it, take it, drop down to a knee, pop up, perfect flat back. It wasn't meant like a Scott Hall sell or anything, I was like, what? That works. Cool with that. And then, Zayn hit the hula kick again. Roman rolls out of the ring. Zayn gets to celebrate in the ring after having lost the match. A la Drew McIntyre, Clash of the Castle. But, solid pay-per-view. Oh, I forgot to mention about the men's chamber. Seeing Montez Ford climb up to the interior of the cage and then doing a splash. And I was like, It's like, I would have been fine if he would have won the title. Then, have him win at the chamber. Have them, drop it on 2-3 weeks later if you want to do, Theory Cena. Or you have, Ford win the title. Then you run a Theory Ford match at WrestleMania. So this is what happened with main event Jay. If Jay is going to finally become, Roman, you're right. That's it. We're doing this. Or if he reluctantly ends up having to to defend the titles against Sammy and Kevin. Because I really could see it end up being Sammy and Kevin taking the titles from the Usos. It's one of those things where I can see Jay and Sammy being like, this is a match. I still respect you, you're smart, but I still love you. But I'm gonna commit to all I've got. It'll be one of those, where we're still friends. We still have, that bond. But I'm whooping the crap and taking the titles. And then you can, really slowly over that weekend just break down the armor of the bloodline and then have Cody win. And then, the bloodline story kind of crashes down at Mania. And then either it can rebuild between then and SummerSlam. It can be tweaked between them and SummerSlam. Who knows? They could always be the group that doesn't have all the titles, and then it's them getting the titles back. There's ways you can work with it. But, for the last premium live event, but now they're officially on the road to WrestleMania, which I thought happened at the Royal Rumble. They really need to figure out how exactly the expressway freeway system works with the road to WrestleMania. Is Elimination Chamber, is it like a pit stop? Is it like a roadblock? Is it Are they just refilling up with gas before they make their final leg of the trip to go to WrestleMania? Yeah, if they want to call it a road, give us some more information as to how this road actually works. Is there a passing lane? I mean, I guess technically, if you win the Royal Rumble, you get the express lane on the road to WrestleMania. But there's just so many things I really think that if they want to keep on using the phrase road, maybe give us some better information on exactly how this road works instead of kind of saying, now we're finally on the road to WrestleMania. That's the Royal Rumble is the first step on the road to WrestleMania. So is the chamber like the last off ramp before WrestleMania? I mean, just then you get some of the Department of Transportation to really just help them fully figure out exactly what terminology they should use for this road. But anyways, another well done event. If Kevin Owens was in the back waiting for a moment to come down, I mean, he could have come down during the match. I thought he was probably going to do that, help kind of even the odds a little bit. And then, if only there was another Uso. Oh, there is. You could have had Solo could have showed up. Solo could have been the person who really turned the tide. And then all of a sudden it's like, the two of us can't beat the four of them. And then Cody could show up. Well, there's three of us now. Maybe Jay doesn't defend the title. Maybe instead it's Solo and Jimmy defending the title at WrestleMania. There are ways you can go with this that are all really good and really valid. But now we've gotten past the last turnpike. So now I guess we're on the final leg of the journey. We've recharged the BEV on our way to WrestleMania.